Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. We now have Starfield open for full access, and a lot more users are coming in, so the window is closing for new player hints. And here are two that I haven't seen on anybody else's list of new player hints, in part because the second one is a big spoiler, but one that is almost unfair for new players not to know about because it has the potential to almost irreversibly turn the game into not the game they want. So I'll try to explain it without getting too far into the details about it. But first, the non-spoiler hint, and that has to do with lockpicking and the Digipics, which is pretty much universally agreed to be one of the cooler features of Starfield and a welcome relief from the other game's hacking mini-games, which are either a variation of the old mastermind pattern matching or a connect the pipes gameplay. To quickly summarize, the lock has rings with slots, and the pick has a selection of rings with pins. You pick the ring of pins with the right stick if you're using a controller, rotate it with the left stick, and if all the pins line up with a hole, drop it with the A button. Then when all the holes of the outer ring are filled with pins, it disappears, and then you can do the same for the inner ring, or for more advanced locks, rings. As you get more advanced locks, there are more rings and more pins. But since this is a new player tips video, I'm obviously going to use the example of a novice level lock. Obviously, you want to be able to approach this fast, even if the game time appears to be frozen while you do so. Here's how I do it. First, look at the picks, but don't look at the positions yet. Just look at how many picks have 1, 2, or 3 pins. In this example, I have 3 picks that have 2 pins and 1 pick that has 3 pins. Then I look at how many holes are in the outer ring. The outer ring has 4 holes. So right away I know that the 3-pin pick can't be part of the outer ring solution. Of the 2-pin picks, I then pick the first and rotate it around to see if it lines up with the holes. If it does, I don't drop it right away, but first look and see if it seems like the remaining holes match the angle of the remaining pick. But in this case, the first pick I chose doesn't line up with the holes. So I know my outer ring solution must use the last 2 picks. I choose one, see how it lines up, quick check to see if the remaining holes can be filled by the last pick, and then drop it, and then do the remaining one. The inner ring has a 3-pin and a 2-pin pick for the 5 holes. I always start with the most pins, so I get the 3-pin pick, line it up quick, visual check that the remaining 2 pins match the remaining holes, drop it in, and then finish it up with the last one. Without all the narration, this is how it works real time. And now for the second player tip, the spoilery one. And the tip is, decide how much woo-woo you want in your science fiction game. And yes, woo-woo is an actual English word, because you start the game in the least woo-woo place possible, as an underground hard rock miner, and not just that, but the one so expendable that they send them ahead alone to pick up the strange thing that looks dangerous. Don't think I didn't notice that, boss. Anyhow, you start going down that artifact path, and you feel like you're a scrappy hard rock miner on a kind of Indiana Jones kind of treasure hunt for the mysterious artifact. Again, cool, all fits, but once you go through that portal in the first temple, it all changes. You get Jedi Force powers. Now, of course, they don't call them Jedi Force powers because that would get them sued by Disney, but yeah, they're Jedi Force powers. And unfortunately, that is kind of a one-way gate. Because if you have Jedi Force powers and you don't use them, you feel like kind of an idiot, if not a bad Jedi. And then if you do use them, though, you sure don't feel like you're still just a scrappy hard rock miner anymore. In fact, stay on that artifacts and powers path, and soon enough, not only won't you be a scrappy hard rock miner anymore, but transformed, not just into a Jedi Master, but also a metahuman able to traverse the multiverse of alternate realities. But what if you liked playing that scrappy nobody hard rock miner adventuring their way from zero to riches? What if you liked your sci-fi as woo-woo free as possible? Well, obviously, treat those rings as a giant do not enter sign. Time to head off to all those side quests, of which there are literally hundreds of hours of. And then, maybe when it looks like being that scrappy hard rock miner path has played itself out for you, then go back and do the temples. For those of you interested in my contest, the secret word is the word that you might not have realized was actually in Webster's. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Danny Raymond for Ray's Guide.